Okay, all right. I think we are good to go. Let's get started. Good evening, good afternoon, and perhaps good morning based on what part of the world you are right now. Welcome. Really glad to have you all here. Uh, Let me quickly get started and set the context for today before I bring in our speakers. Uh, One of the most common things that we see in the education sector is that a lot of good work always stays small. And it's not because the work isn't good, it's because moving something from a small pilot into a large government system is genuinely very hard. It's difficult. It takes a very specific kind of effort, very specific kind of patience, very specific kind of skill set, and honestly, a very specific kind of courage. And that is exactly what today's conversation is about. Education above all has been working on project-based learning initiative in India, and this work is done in partnership with Mantra4Change. And what makes this story interesting is that it did not stay small. One of the reasons all of us are here is because we made it big. It went from a localized effort into government system, into states, into classrooms that otherwise uh, would never have seen this kind of pedagogy. And we want to open that story up today. So we want to discuss the how, the why, the what, and everything around it. What made it actually work on the ground? Uh, Something about me before we get into the specifics of this conversation. My name is Sushant, and I'm part of the strategic communications team at Mantra4Change. I will be your moderator today, and this is actually my fifth year with the organization. And then in this 5 years, I have had the chance to see PBL really from the beginning. I have worked closely with the people you are going to hear today. And because of the nature of my job, I have also had the chance to travel and see the work happening in the classrooms across different states. So I am very privileged to have this opportunity to host this conversation, to moderate this, and also to witness the work that all of us are going to talk about. I have seen teachers doing project-based learning in classroom, children working on projects. And today we want to do this three very important things during this conversation. First, we want to share some honest insights from EA and Mantra4Change's journey around the work on the ground. We want to get into what it really takes to integrate an education innovation into government system, the strategies and the evidence and the relationship that makes it possible. Second thing, very important, uh, though the format might not look like it's meant for dialogue, but this space is meant for dialogue. So please do use the chat, drop your questions as we go. We will have a Q&A towards the end, and I want to make sure we bring in as many your questions as we can. And third and the last thing, we have something special planned. So you will not leave this conversation empty-handed, and it's coming sooner than you think. So please stay with us till the end, and it's worth it. Cool. So before we begin, I just want to quickly say thank you to Education Above All for creating this space and for this partnership, to our panelists, uh, Josephat, Saurav, and Nishant for giving their time today, and to all of you for showing up. Now, I'm not going to do a long formal introduction of each of our panelists today. I will bring them in one by one as we go and speak to them. Okay, let's get into it. Let's open up the first segment of the conversation where we are going to talk about innovation and education. So to really set the frame for everything we are going to discuss today, I want to start with the big picture. And the person I want to bring in for that is Josephat. Josephat is education senior specialist at Education Above All Foundation. He brings over 15 years of education programming experience across humanitarian and development context, working with governments, working directly with learners in some of the most complex environments you can imagine. And he really brings that global lens to this conversation, and I think it's going to ground everything that follows. Uh, Josephat, really wonderful to have you with us today. And I want to start with what sounds like a very straightforward question, but it really isn't. Uh, what is innovation in education? Because the word gets used so much and it means so many things to different people. What does it actually mean to you? Josephat, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sushant, for that wonderful introduction of the conversation that we are going to be having for the next 1 hour or so. Um, Before we delve into the issues on the table of um, integration, scaling innovations through government systems, perhaps it's important for us to begin by exploring what innovation means in education. Yeah, I want to invite all of us to reflect on what you think when you hear the term innovation in education. But my reflections are this, that innovation in education is any new ideas that make learning and teaching more effective. Because the purpose of education is to enable learners acquire critical competencies, both in literacy, numeracy, and future ready skills. So, in my view, innovation in education should be an enabler towards that objective. I know that many education needs, many innovators consider innovation to be technology driven, shiny products. But we will see as we go into this conversation that the kind of innovation we are talking about does not have technology. Because we know that if you focus on technology, you will be looking at the product, not the impact. And as well, we know that not all children in all contexts can access that technology. So, in a sense, if you focus your understanding of innovation on technology, you are likely to leave out the most vulnerable, those that really need the support to acquire the relevant skills. So, innovation, therefore, is supposed to build children's learners' literacy, numeracy skills, future ready skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, communication, as well. Very important that innovation is not supposed to serve a small group of children or learners. Innovation makes sense when it can reach millions of children, as many children as possible. And that is why this conversation will be leading towards how to design innovations that can be scaled. And the best way to scale innovations is through government systems, as we will see in the next conversations. So our PBL pedagogy focused on 5 critical areas. One was making education relevant. By PBL, we mean children develop projects, design projects that address critical issues, challenges that they can relate with in their context, in their villages, not solving remotely understandable challenges. So the most important thing is that this PBL project approach enable learners to see the sense of what they are learning in school, to connect education and their lived experiences. Secondly, PBL put the learner at the center. Through the conversation we are having, through the experience we had with the project-based learning, learners were put at the center of education. They determine the trajectory of their education through the projects that they developed, through the research, through the reflections, through the presentations. They got engaged throughout their learning process. In a sense, they shaped their learning journey. Secondly, PBL ensured equity. Related to what I've just said, there are many children in many geographies, especially in the global south, that have no access to some innovative products, particularly if you look at technology. But PBL is relevant for children in rural areas. It can be applied by children in urban centers. It can be applied by children in resource-constrained locations. In a sense, they use the resources that are available within their community to develop projects that reflect the challenges, the issues within their communities. The third aspect is teacher engagement. We all understand that the teacher is the most central factor in the teaching and learning process. So PBL as well put the teacher at the center of everything that was developed. Teachers were supported with the training on the approach, how to support children to develop projects. Teachers were supported with the resources they needed. There were manuals, there were flashcards that teachers received. So in summary, teachers were the second most important pillar of PBL, and they were put at the center of everything that happened under PBL. The fourth element is integration. As we will see in the next conversations, if an innovation is not integrated within existing systems, it fails to be an innovation. It dies at the pilot. This particular PBL approach ensured that everything from the projects was aligned with the curriculum. It was aligned with government policies. It was aligned with the school calendars, so that PBL does not look as an additional burden, a parallel system to what is going on. And once that was done, it was possible for it to be integrated. As well, it enabled collaboration among teachers. You will hear from the next presenters how teachers from different subjects collaborated because they found synergies, alignment, complementarities with within the subjects that they teach in school. And over the last 4 years, the results of this approach are incredible. This approach has impacted the education of around 4 million children in 18,000 schools in 4 states in India. Based on independent evaluations, there was 2-digit improvement in learners' performance in mathematics, English, and science, as well as 21st century skills. In addition, there has been a significant shift in teachers' approaches, practices. Teachers have become more of facilitators and mentors than mere supporters of rote learning. They have facilitated learners be able to design, develop, and present projects that reflect specific competencies within the curriculum. In addition, through this approach, there has been significant improvement in learner engagement and attendance. We will hear from the next presenters how attendance improved specifically for days when the schools, the classes were participating in PBL projects. So in sum, we are saying that PBL is an innovation that has significantly contributed to a major pedagogical shift and learning outcomes for the children in India.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights on innovation and bringing in PBL. I think you covered on how PBL is relevant and it's engaging for students, promotes equity, and a bit also on teacher empowerment, how it empowers them. Interesting. Just one last question for you in this section, Josephat. How did PBL specifically addresses the critical gaps that existed in the system at the time? And whether that's around student engagement, around equity, or around teacher confidence, or all of it. So, what were the real problems it was actually responding to, or now when it's implemented, it responds to?
Yeah, thank you so much for that follow-on question. I reflected on that question in the critical issues that were addressed and the results. Many education systems around the world do not reflect the realities of learners. Learners merely receive content processes that they do not relate with. Many education systems do not put the teacher at the center. The teacher is not supported. There are no structures for mentorship for the teachers. There are no resources in many of those geographies. As well as I mentioned, many innovations do not attempt to work through government systems. They become parallel system to the government, only at pilot level. And then when the pilot ends, they collapse with the external funding. I think those are the critical issues that PBL sought to address and has addressed through this particular project.
Thank you. Thank you for the response on the follow-up question. Okay, so now we know what innovation is and why it matters. Uh, the next question is, and we'll move forward in the conversation. We'll move to our next section or segment, you can call it. The next question is, how on earth do you actually get government systems to take it on? Because that is where most good work or good ideas just quietly disappears. And the person who has really lived that challenge is on our panel today, Saurav. So, a little bit about Saurav, and more you will find when when he responds to the question. Saurav is program director at Mantra4Change. He started his journey as a Teach for India fellow. For people who have joined us from outside of India, it is a very prestigious fellowship in India, which means he has actually been inside a classroom. He has taught, and he knows what a teacher faces. He knows both ends of the system, and over the years, he has become one of the sharpest system change thinkers. And I have had the privilege of working alongside Saurabh. So Saurabh, great to have you here. Uh, so let me start with the most fundamental question: what role did Mantra4Change actually play in or played in bridging the innovation and the government? Like, were you a translator? Were you a bridge builder? How would you describe it? Over to you, Saurabh.
Hi, thanks, Sushant, and hello, everyone. Saurabh this side. What a joy is to join this panel and really share the stage with Josephat and Nishant and Sushant. Sushant, before I go ahead and talk about and respond to your question, I mean, just a little bit of background, everyone, about the work that we do in India. Mantra for Change is a not-for-profit based in India. We work with public education system. We work with government to improve the quality of public education system at scale. And that is the nature. And India has you, some of you may already know, India has 1.5 million schools, half a million teachers, and I mean, uh, kids, you cannot imagine the scale. And we do this by three ways, right? And we really work design program with governments directly. We also believe in the power of collective action. So we enable other organizations as well to work through collective action with government. And we also leverage technology to design the program. So that's in brief about what we do at Mantra for Change. And coming back to your question, Sushant, I was actually listening to Josephat, and he brought up some of the important points, right? And I think be it Mantra for Change or any other organizations, when we talk about innovation, I mean, and Josephat quoted it nicely that innovation often fails because the scalability component is not always thought of, and innovation may always be like supported with additional support structures, enabling mechanisms, which we will not get those stuff at scale. What we did at Mantra, especially when we started working in partnership with education above all, to design and implement the project-based learning programs for primary grades in different states to middle grades, grade 6 to 8 in different states. We realized that it was imperative for us to do four things, right? One is to really align the project-based learning program solution to the national policies, priorities, and mandates. So we really looked at that, hey, if this is something that we are offering, is it the same thing which policy is also mandating or not? Second thing is just going deep into the classrooms as well, to taking a broader view at a policy level and to the classroom, that where our teachers are, what are the challenges our teachers are facing to deliver the lessons effectively inside the classrooms. And so this is something that we really did and which helped us aligning the program. Second thing, we realized that when you work with this scale of 30,000 schools, 20,000 schools, and like a 4.5 to 5 million kids, you really need to build the capacity of the system from within. You cannot go and say, hey, we have come here and we will train you and then things will change. You really need to create a pipeline of leaders at various level within the government. And I think that becomes one of the important offering, right? Uh, to really take any innovation at scale. Third thing that helped us is actually identifying champions from within. Even if you're piloting something or 10 schools or 10,000 schools, it's super important that there are leaders from the government, from the beneficiary side, who are talking about it, who are believing into this idea as good as even better than how we are believing. And I think this was something that we were very clear that we really need to find these heroes, these champions, starting from teachers to students to system leaders. And once they speak, they start talking about the impact that they are witnessing. I mean, then, uh, you cannot stop any innovation to scale. Fourth and last thing, Sushant, when I think about uh, translating the any innovation to scale or with government, I mean, we many a time we say that, hey, while we are piloting something or innovating something, let's do everything ourselves. So let's give the teacher training by ourselves. Let's design curriculum by ourselves. Let's also do assessment by ourselves. I think what we often miss out is that ownership is not off the thought. Even if it's a 10 school or 10,000 schools, you really need to design at scale with the system and not really think about if something will happen well, then I will scale it. So scaling the idea versus what works at scale is a principle that we have taken, and one of our mentors, Sanjay Purohit sir, often talks about these concepts as well. So these are these experiences that helped Sushant, which I could just think top of my mind.
Thank you so much. And I think underneath everything that you just said, trust is the word, I think. And trust is not something you build in a meeting, it's built over time and in the field, showing up again and again. Uh, and I think what I also heard is you are holding two worlds together and making sure neither one loses sight of what actually matters, which is the child. So keeping child at the center. Saurabh, I would also be interested in knowing, and very beautifully how you have put it in points. If you could put it in points for our audience today, I think more than around 200 people have joined us. And I think this question is very important for everyone who are here with us. What were the actual strategies you used to get government buy-in? Because I know a lot of people watching today are trying to figure out exactly this. How do you get a government to not just allow an innovation, but actually get behind it, work alongside you? So yeah, if you can list down some actual strategies that you worked at Mantra for Change.
I mean, it's not one or few. There are plenty of things. This is an important question, Sushant. Thank you so much for asking this question. And it's a journey. I mean, over a period of time, we have learned many things, and we have unlearned many things also in terms of how to work with government, especially uh, at scale, to convince them to do something. I mean, what we have realized is. When we approach government to with one solution, one idea, I mean, many a time the lens is that, hey, I have come up with some solution, and here is the problem that I see. Can you adopt it? Instead, what we have seen working is to really show them what is possible and what are the challenges that they are facing. So instead of saying ki something is really wrong with the system, really identifying that what are the efforts that they have taken and where our teachers are, and what is the plus one shift that you can actually make to take them to another level. So it's like how you go with an idea saying that it's not that everything that is happening is bad. Many a time when we approach, we say, here is the problem statement, here are the 20 data source that says what is wrong. I mean, it's very important to know all of these information as well, but please understand that government is engaging many organizations like us as civil society, and everyone is coming to them and telling them the same thing, that something is wrong with the system, versus somebody is going that hey, here are the things which we see in case of PBL in middle grade, really teacher trying, and here are the few things which we think can add value to what is already happening without changing the life of teachers too much. So that is one major operating lens we keep in mind, Sushant, and everyone at Mantra. Second thing, we went to the Department of Education uh, with questions and ideas saying that there are national policies which talks about mandating project-based learning as an approach in a specific grade. And here are the KPIs that state also needs to meet. How can we assist you to be able to achieve those goals? Would you be interested listening about ideas to make this possible? I mean, this opened many doors. This has opened many doors for me and for us, saying that we have a program this works with versus saying that here is the guideline, here is the thing that state has to do. Would you be interested? Would you like to hear some of the things that has worked in different places? And can we work together to figure out whether how this will look like for our teachers in Bihar or in different parts of the country? So this also talks about that you may be Mantra or Education Above All may be running the project-based learning program, but that is not only the organization's identity. So many a time when we go to the department, we often miss and looking at system as a whole. We see our solutions. So there is a joke we always say that we are united by problems and divided by solutions. So we think that we have a solution and we are always looking for a problem, right? I mean, so this is another thing that has helped us that really understanding what is happening within the system and then working alongside the department. Third is that evidence is super important. I mean, before even the project-based learning program launched, we spent a year really around understanding what would it mean for our teachers, for our leaders to really implement the program in the contextual reality for a particular state. Instead of saying that here is a model, you do that, you really spend time on the ground doing innovations, trying few things which is working, not working, and you do it with government. You just don't get permission from government saying that, hey, I need a permission to do an innovation or pilot versus government becomes one of the crucial partner in every stage of these elements. Then scalability is not always a problem because they themselves are experiencing the realities of what is working and what is not working as well. So this is another thing that we have seen working. Another important thing, I think it's not very small, but something we always follow at Mantra that make government visible in every success points. Whenever something good happens, we always go and say, ki, hey, we supported government to make that change. But what we realize that it's the government who is doing a lot of stuff. So how do we very consciously making sure that government is getting all the credits uh, for the effort that they are doing and really clear about the value that we are offering. I mean, I've seen many organization and individual just saying that we have done this change, we have made this change. And I think at Mantra and Education Above All, we were very clear that we are a technical assistance, a support to the government, not really doing it for them. So how are you very clearly putting up a narrative and making sure they have a visibility and celebrating the successes as well becomes very important. Last and most important point, Sushant, I mean, you have to be patient. Sometimes things will work, things will not work. Please understand that there is a relationship that you are trying to build with the system. It's not a transactional relationship where you are just giving something and return you are getting the value. And relationship building takes time. So just being patient with the changes, be patient with the reality also helps. I mean, just hanging in there. So these are some of the things that we have seen, Sushant, working in our case as well. So
Very interesting. I can completely vouch for the credit part. I think have spent enough time to see this now slowly becoming part of culture within the organization where be it Bihar or any other state that we work in, we don't claim that oh, we have done this. We always give due credit to the system partners. So that is something very uh, that I have seen helping us build those relationship with the government, long term relationship. I Before I come to Nishant, just one last question on the evidence bit. Uh, what evidence did you find government were most responsive to or most interested in? Because a lot of data gets generated in these programs, and not all of it moves to the decision making stage. Like, not all these data points are used to make a decision. So what actually worked, sort of what kind of data or evidence?
Great question, Sushant. I mean, many a time when we work at scale, we often say that, hey, quality gets compromised at scale, right? There is this notion that we have that at scale, quality get compromised and all. I mean, so especially when we work with government, we were very clear about looking at evidence and successes at three levels. One, it one is at the level of student, looking at student holistically, for both from the learning outcome side and 21st century skill side, right? Now, what happens that please remember that government is also trying to run multiple programs. There is a mental health program, there is a learning outcome program, there is a awareness program. So there are different things which government is doing to make sure that students get these holistic results. So how do we, when we talk about the program impact, we have measures to really show that how children are developing holistically. And in our case of project-based learning program, we're very clear and focused about 21st century skills and the academic learning outcomes for students. So at a student level. Second element is at the leader and at a system level. So three level, like student, leader, and system. We said that, hey, if students are improving, what is the change in the practice of the leaders or teacher educators that we are seeing to support the teachers? So that's the another layer that we often say, and we make it visible. Simple examples like how well the mentor is creating space for a teacher, how effective is the feedback, how effective is the teacher support meeting. So multiple things happening, right? And third element is actually at a system level that uh, if there is a budget movement, if there is a process improvement, if there is a policy improvement, what it can do to a child sitting inside the classroom. So linkages of shift at a policy to a outcome level is not often so visible. And that is something we make sure we are able to showcase. And if I talk about, there are different ways that we do. And one of the things is actually making these learning visible and efforts visible to the different layers at the system of teacher and students. And we do that by multiple ways, right? Like whatever these kids learn in the classroom, at the end of every month, they actually present these learnings to the parents and teachers and other leaders as part of parent teacher meeting. Whatever these children and teachers learn, they also get an opportunity to showcase their efforts at a different level in the system through different type project-based learning exhibitions or competitions where these leaders gets invited as well. So we make sure that they are not only getting the abstract data that's saying that, hey, we have 3 years of learning improvement, or we have a 2 years of learning improvement in 1 year as a result of PBL, but we also you can also get to experience that by directly engaging with the children at various level in different forums as well. So you get a full sense of how evidence looks like in reality and not just in numbers. To me, experience, if I have to put it in one line, experience is the best evidence. How do we create those experiences for the teacher, for the leader, and for anyone who is really witnessing and changing it? And that becomes the crucial component of the project-based learning offerings. It's like redefining their experiences from child to system. So yeah, these are the few things I could think of, Sushant.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. This is genuinely going to stay with a lot of people on this call today. Now, just want to move ahead. Now, let's go deeper into the field bit of it, because strategy and policy conversations are one thing, but what does it actually look like to implement this on the ground day after day? And for that, I want to bring in Nishant. Uh, Nishant, a bit about Nishant. Nishant is a program manager at Mantra4Change. He is a tech graduate who made a very deliberate turn towards education transformation. But honestly, more than the bio, I just want to tell you what I know about Nishant from working alongside him. And this person is someone I have genuinely watched how he works. And I mean that very literally. I have seen Nishant running and actually running from our office in Patna to the education department, government offices, chasing approvals, following up on things that would have made most people give up. So showing up again and again until something is moved. So that is the level of dedication this work requires, and Nishant embodies it completely. Nishant, really glad you are here today. Let's go straight into the conversation. What are the real barriers when you are trying to move from a pilot to a system-wide adoption? Over to you, Nishant.
Thank you so much, Sushant, for the great introduction. I mean, we are just living the work which we do in education. It is also being said that if you want to move a needle, we have to go behind it. We have to chase it like anything. So, coming back to the question that uh, when we move from a pilot to the system-wide adoption, there are a lot of barriers which we see, which we also have seen while working in one of the geographies of Bihar and in some other projects which I've also worked. But I would start this answer by a quote which I heard recently from an IAS officer. Is that pilot succeeds because of the special care and attention, but when it comes to scale, it gets exposed to the actual system, and if the planning and monitoring is not there, it fails miserably. So it was just a quote given by an IAS officer, and I completely agree with what he said. That when we work in pilot, we give a lot of attention. We monitor it very carefully. But when it comes to a very large scale, when we scale the same thing or the same idea, like Saurav also talked previously, that how do we deliberately design for scale, not scale the design. Like when we are working in a pilot, are we actually designing that pilot project also keeping the scale in mind, or are we just work designing it for the limited geography or the limited area which we have thought of, right? So when we design at scale, then it means that we are keeping all the nuances in our mind, while that when we will move from pilot to system, what would happen? uh, there can be absence of monitoring mechanism. That could be one of the first and the major failure point, or the major barrier which we could see in government or in a system-wide adoption for anything, even if we don't propose a solution, or if even if it's a solution that has come directly from the system, its adoption would fail if a proper monitoring mechanism or the structures and processes are not set into it. The second most important thing which I feel is how prepared are our middle managers. If we don't prepare our middle managers who are actually working on the field within the system, like if we are talking at state, then the managers would be the district level people or the block level people. These are the different cadres before school. So how prepared are they? How much hand holding do they need, external hand holding do they need? So that the preparedness of middle manager is again one of the barrier which we could see. Then the next I have two more points to add up is one next point is whenever a government project or a system led innovation is being scaled, the ownership towards government is often towards the compliance of it. It's not the conviction. The narrative which builds is the NGO partner or the CSO partner or the UN partner, they are driving the project and the system is watching it. How do we avoid that? How do we make the system drive any innovation? That is one thing we need to think when we move from a pilot to system. And the last thing is uh, which is very connected to my previous point, is that how do we see transition from a NGO led to a system embedded uh, thing. So that might require redesigning of roles or advocacy at the highest level. That how if there is a cadre missing or any person who middle manager who is required to do that job is missing, how do we advocate system that okay, for this to work, we need such kind of of those managers or the preparedness of them. So these are few of the four to five points, Sushant, that comes to my mind when we see the barriers of moving from pilot to scale.
Wonderful. Thanks, Nishant. I think the emphasis on middle manager is very important. The stronger the cadre we have of middle managers, the greater success we can expect when it comes to
And
implementation.
Sushant, if I can add a few things here. I
Please,
mean,
please.
people may not have full context about it, but the way the program was designed, when Nishant is talking about, so the project-based learning program, the little bit of background here is we did for different grades. For one of the states, it's happened for grade 6, 7, and 8, where additional lesson plans were designed based on the curriculum at chapters for the teachers based on the policies, and it had clear linkages of learning outcome and 21st century skills. So these were the support material that was given to teachers at scale, and I'm talking about like some 30,000 schools participating in it, in this program, right? And then on the top of that, there is a support layer for teachers. So it's a 5 days in service teacher training for on project based learning program, and there is a monthly YouTube live leveraging the YouTube and Facebook where best teacher was invited to share their practices and challenges. Third element is about if teacher has taken the training, because the realities of the classrooms are different. So how do they really implement this inside the classroom? That's where we use technology. The Diksha micro improvement project was used where it has an element of how to do action inside the classroom, because some teachers have multi-level, multi-grade classroom management issues, like different things are there, right? And on top of that, there are these middle managers who are regular basis organizing these peer learning circles, these review meetings, and the recognition meetings as well. So it is layered on a multiple level. What was crucial is that what are the changes we would like to see at the child level, keeping child at the center really by design, and designing the teacher level and the middle manager level. So this is the whole journey of project based learning program, and government has put like a millions to this project on multiple levels, starting from training to the textbook delivery to the assessment. I think everything is funded by the government, and that's the power, right? Because you can only provide, as external agency, provide your knowledge, provide your technical input, but when we talk about partnership, government really needs to come in and become as a partner and not just a permission giver or approval. And that was core of this mantra, education about partnership with Indian government, right, and different states. So just wanted to expand a little bit about the project side of things. So thank you. Over to you, Sushant.
Thank you. Quick time check as well. I have two things to finish. I think the second thing will exceed a bit, maybe by 4 5 minutes. which is the Q&A round, and I see a consistent number of people who have throughout the call. So there are around 200 people who have joined us, and the number is consistent from the beginning of the call. So I do feel that the conversation is very interesting. So I will bring in one more question for Nishant, and then after that, we'll bring in the surprise element that we have for all of you here, and then the Q&A. So I'll without setting any context, I will directly jump to the question. Nishant, how do you actually tackle the sustainability question? Because the funding cycle will end, key people will move on, political priorities will change. So how do you build something that can survive all of that? If you could say few points on that.
Uh, sure, Sushant. In the interest of time, I would also would like to directly address to the question about the sustainability part of it. So more of it, Saurabh just address that when we design how in the previous questions also, like Saurabh said, uh, for the government buy-ins, we don't go to the government and say ki, hey, this is the solution we bring. Rather we say, hey, this is the policy which says has implemented in your state, which is a national policy, be it the curriculum framework or the education policy or anything. We take the codes from there and the requirements from there, and then we try to find out that where is the gap in the system where they would actually need the support. That is the first and foremost thing we do before starting off any project. So that's what we did with PBL, project-based learning. We did align it with the national education policy of India, and then moving ahead with it, the NCF alignment and the other policy alignment of it. Right. Then not only budget, but how do we also address the capacity part of it? The thing which you said is like budget sustainability also becomes very vulnerable if it is not correctly mapped. So instead of advocating for a separate budget head, we used to see that what are the budget heads for the things which we want to do is already available in the government, and system is already lacking to use those budgets. How can we advocate government to use those budgets which would help both the government towards the utilization side of it and towards the sustainability of the project side of it, right? And the third thing comes here is we have already talked a lot about the middle managers. Saurabh also emphasized on who are those middle managers, keeping child experiences in mind, teacher actions in mind, and the other levels of people working there, right? So those middle managers, how do we build them? Because I also answered in my previous question, they are the actual implementation structure for us. State makes the policy, state gives the funding, teacher implements it in the classroom, and child receives it. In between, the training happens, the capacity building happens, different orientation sessions happen. So review meetings happens, the monitoring mechanism, which I said in the very beginning, that if the monitoring mechanism is not there, the scale project is going to fall. So those middle managers, how do we create those? That middle layer first is also one of the thing I can say will bring sustainability to it. Then co-designing everything with the government, as Saurav also said, we never took anything. You also said that Mantra never, or education above all, never took credit of whatever work was happened. It was government led, done by government for the government schools. So that is one of the major important part which we have to keep in mind if we want to if we want to talk on sustainability, or if we want to make any project sustainable. So yeah, these were some of the points in my mind which came right now, and I can talk a lot on it, but looking at the time, I would like to stop here. Thanks, Ishan.
Thank you so much, Nishant. Yeah, without taking any further time, I'll move to the exciting part of, or the surprise bit of this webinar. So, this team and the Mantra for Change team, together with Education Above All, did not just implement a program. They documented every step of it. They reflected on what worked, what didn't. They were honest about all the failures, and they have turned all of that into something that anyone, anywhere in the world can now pick up and use. So, Josephat, I want to invite you to come in here. You have been part of this journey from a very long time, and please share what you are going to bring in. And yeah, please speak few words about it.
Thank you so much, Sushant. I was unpacking the present that everyone will be taking home today. So, as you can see, through this project, we developed a toolkit, what we call the PBL toolkit. And this toolkit could not have come at a better time, based on the questions that have been raised on this platform, this conversation. We feel that it is timely for us to launch this very useful resource that we have developed in partnership with the Mantra4Change and the Education Department. This is resource that has taken a lot of time, a lot of inputs from colleagues and other partners. And the purpose is to ensure to share resources so that everyone has a more or less same understanding of what PBL is. Inside this resource, you will find answers to some of the questions that we have raised and answered. You will find answers on what PBL is. You will find answers on how to support teachers. You will find answers on how to develop and implement M&E frameworks for PBL. You will also find answers on how to engage with the government, of course, leading towards integration and sustainability through this resource. You will also see how you can ensure that learners remain at the center of the teaching and learning process that applies PBL. You will also see how you can involve the community in their learners' education through PBL. So we feel that this is a very important resource, and we invite you to review it, reflect on it, and utilize it in your day-to-day work as you endeavor to improve teaching and learning outcomes for the children in the geographies you work with. Next page. Next page.
Thank you. Thanks, Josephat. Thank you so much.
So
Yes.
a minute. This resource is now available. At the end of this conversation, we will share a link in the chat, and please feel free to download it and review it and utilize it in your work to improve teaching and learning for the children and communities that you work with. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so finally the surprise is here. You will get the link. Please download it and let the team know what you felt about it, whether it was helpful or not, if there is any feedback, suggestions on how to make it even better. So moving to the last part of the conversation, which is Q&A, I see Janvi has answered some of the questions on chat already. But yes, if there are any other question that you have, please put it in the chat box and our panelists will answer these questions. Josephat, since people have started dropping, can we also put the toolkit link in the chat? We will wait on this link for another minute. And if there is any question that comes in that moment, we'll take it. I don't see any question coming up, so I think we need to start wrapping up. I could honestly keep going. Our panelists have a lot to share, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Let me just take a moment to reflect on what I have heard today. So, Josepha set the frame for us. Innovation is not about what's new, it's about what's relevant, what's equitable, and what actually reaches a child. Saurav took us into what it takes to move that into a system, the strategies, the evidence, the relationship, the patience, the willingness to bend without breaking. And Nishant brought us all the way into the field, into the actual reality of doing this work every single day. And then, yeah, of course, the toolkit that you will be accessing now. So on behalf of Education Above All and Mantra for Change, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for taking out time. Take care of yourself and keep going. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. It was nice having you.